Hello guys, welcome to a new video on Tower of God New World, and in this video I'm going to give you my first impression on KALLAVAN. I'm going to briefly talk about this unit and what I think his strength and weak points are. Then we're going to look at the skills and briefly go over exclusive equipment, gear, ignition weapon, and revolution, I would say. So this is more or less the plan. I'm not going to go into too much detail because I still have to try him out quite a lot more. As you can see from the game, I only have him at 3 red. I did try him at Revolution 6 by linking him to another unit. Unfortunately, that unit didn't have the attack subnode upgraded, so I couldn't try KALLAVAN in some of the teams I would probably want to run him in. Like for example, a Mamanak team or a team with also yellow as a support, because all the units that were targeting the highest attack unit did not target KALLAVAN because he didn't have enough attack, even in the highest slot. So yeah, kind of disappointing in that sense, but for sure after I've invested in him myself and leveled that node, I will also try those, I would say, high-hand compositions. Still, from what I tested, I can say that at 0 dupes, he doesn't really provide much and he's not really that tanky. He doesn't deal damage. He's kind of meh, borderline useless, I will say, because his survivability relies on his passive mostly, and his passive relies on having a large HP pool. Without that, it's kind of squishy, and his damage again, having half of the multiplier of a level 5 skill definitely matters. So I would say, starting from 3 purple, 3 red, this guy can deal okay damage and also survive quite well. It's not going to be super exceptional, but can be used also as a DPS in some specific compositions. Still, I wouldn't say it's really that worth it, because this guy again is a tank. So he doesn't have the best offensive stats, though his kit is extremely offensive, but he doesn't have the stats to back it up, and he's too selfish. As a tank, you are expecting him to, well, provoke enemies, to debuff them, to support your allies. No, he doesn't do anything of the sort. He just has some crowd control, but his kit is mostly damage and self buffs, and that's it. It doesn't have debuffs on the enemies, which is crazy. So yeah, it doesn't add any value to the team. So you would be building a team around him, or a team that doesn't need anything more and can just afford to run a unit that doesn't synergize with them. So that's kind of what KALLAVAN is. I think it's fine as a unit. If you fully invest in him, you will get some returns because he's a really good unit. But I mean, I'd rather run Tank and Dorsey that can provide grouping, some resistance shred on the enemies, those kind of things, and still be quite tanky. For sure, a fully maxed KALLAVAN is going to be more tanky than Endorsey, but again, is missing on the other functionalities of a tank. So, I don't know guys, it's kind of up to you. If you are short on resources, this is not a unit I would recommend for you. If you are someone with a lot of resources that you can still max the collab that's going to come, and the and white, which at this point I'm expecting him to be quite strong, looking at the standard of the last units that are being released. So yeah, I think white would be a better target because it's going to be a DPS unit and a pretty crazy one at that. So I will say KALLAVAN, from my point of view, is a skip. I don't like units that don't synergize with other teammates. So yeah, that's more or less my point of view on this unit. I will let you know more after I've tested him, and we will go through a more detailed character review, but for now, that's more or less what I feel about him. And I would say we can just have a look at his skills. They're not too complicated, so it's going to be quick. The passive is the most interesting part, as most of the passives for the latest units that they released. After using a skill or special move, KALLAVAN unleashes an additional attack on the furthest enemy, dealing 400% of his attack as damage and knocking back the target for 2 seconds. Each time this back bomber activates, KALLAVAN gain 1 essence of nothingness, which has a maximum stacks of 5, written a bit below. Each essence of nothingness lasts for 20 seconds, increases KALLAVAN's attack by 80% and defense by 40%, which is a maximum of 400% attack increase and 200% defense increase, and sets damage from incoming attacks to 0 if they would deal less than 15% of KALLAVAN's max HP, meaning any attack that deals less than 15% of your max HP effectively deals 0. And this works really well, but you do need a lot of HP, which unfortunately tanks cannot get from subnodes in Revolution. So that's a bit unfortunate, but you do get them from Orange 4, and you get them also from Revolution 2. So yeah, both the Purple 3 and the Orange 4 levels are going to be quite important for survivability. And yeah, that's pretty much this other part. If KALLAVAN receives damage exceeding this 15% threshold, then an essence of nothingness is going to be destroyed to absorb the damage. Max 5 stacks. When an essence of nothingness disappears, it reduces KALLAVAN's active cooldowns by 2 seconds. Not that big of a deal. I still don't know how long his cooldowns are by default, but these passive and the Revolution 5 makes me think is around 10 seconds base, or maybe 15, something like that. So, okay, nothing major. The passive overall is pretty stacked because the buff is nice, and also the additional damage and crowd control is good. Survivability wise, amazing. It just works better with some dupes. That's just a given. Then we have the first active skill. KALLAVAN is going to increase his defense by 80% or 40% on level 1, and then fire 5 bombers in front of him in quick succession. Each bomber deals 320% of his attack as damage, jolts the enemies and knocks them back, and 50% of the damage dealt is recovered as HP. Pretty simple. It's a good skill, the multiplier is there, and he has a lot of attack increases, so his base attack being low is not a problem for this unit, but it is for a unit like Data Work, as an example. So yeah, already solid. Overall the damage is there. The survivability extra that you get from defense is nice because that helps staying within the 15% max HP threshold, so definitely good. Then we have Manifested Resolve. This is another AoE attack that just increases KALLAVAN physical and magic resistance by 40%. You will still want to start with at least 99% resistances, so this is just to protect yourself from resistance shreds and pierce from the enemies. That's mainly it, I would say. The damage is quite low, but the buff is nice, and also the status effect immunity is good. The basic attack coefficient increase, I will say from my experience, his basic attacks were never most of his damage, so I wouldn't run Sundance, especially if you run him once you have a lot of investment on him and you run him in a Mamanak team with, I don't know, maybe an Array or someone else that gives a lot of energy, then definitely no Sundance whatsoever. But if you have him in like 3 purple, maybe Sundance could be considered. I still believe Alocasia is a better pick, but we're going to talk about the exclusive equipment and the ignition weapon later. Sorry, just the ignition weapon. So, okay. Overall, really good skill. Buff survivability by a lot, and also a little bit the damage. Special move. KALLAVAN becomes immune to status effects and gathers strength in his fist, then unleashes a powerful punch that deals 400% of his attack as damage 4 times, so 1600%. Each hit jolts enemies hit. When this attack is unleashed, the final hit is guaranteed to hit, and stuns enemies hit for 3 seconds. Also, the final hit physical pierce is increased by 40%, It's just a 20% on level 1. So level 1 is 800% with a 20% on the last hit. Nothing great, I would say. But definitely level 5 is good. This 40% is a nice addition. And yeah, simple kit, a lot of damage everywhere, and quite a lot of survivability. So not much we can say about this kit. If we go over the exclusive equipment, we see lifesteal as the additional stat. Again, I don't like lifesteal that much, but I mean, especially on him, because most of the times he's going to take 0 damage if built correctly and if against the right enemies. So I'm not that big of a fan of lifesteal, but still is okay, I guess. I'd rather get physical resistance, but it's okay. Level 1, KALLAVAN becomes immune to Jolt and Stun at the start of the battle. Okay. Is going to be immune to all status effects for most of the time thanks to his active skill and all the cooldown reduction that he kind of has. So this won't be as impactful, but it's okay, it's nice. Attack coefficient of Rush Bomber increases by 50%, so that's an additional 200% total percentage, because it was 4 hit, right? Yes, I think so. Then we have level 3. KALLAVAN attack and defense are increased by 10% per essence of nothingness created, plus an additional 10% level 4, so that's 20% additional. So that's like, instead of 80-40, that's 160. Pretty cool. So quite a lot. 500% attack and 300% defense. That's really a shit ton. So level 3 and level 4, really good. And yeah, not much else to mention here in this good equipment. Really has good upgrades. For the gear, for sure, slot 4 is your priority. And then as he gets to the point where he actually deals damage, having more crit rate and crit damage and accuracy are both going to be important. Though now with the archive buffs, we need even less accuracy than usual. For evasion, could be okay since we're running Allocasia. We want to get as much evasion as we can. Though I feel he's still going to dodge anyway, so that's why I haven't really upgraded it. Just because Allocasia procs on basic attacks, and you're getting a 40% increase in evasion just by default. So that should be more than enough, but if you want to, and you have the coins, you can definitely upgrade slot 3 as well. And yeah, for the ignition weapon, I mentioned Allocasia. I think Allocasia is is the best set for him. And is going to give him like 30% physical pierce plus some extra survivability from basic attacks. That would normally not even deal damage to him, so it's not as important, but definitely 30% physical pierce is a nice bonus once you have him invested. Before, like if you have only a 3 purple, you can run whatever. You can run Scylla, you can run Idea, you can run Sundance, you can run Rafflesia, whatever, doesn't matter. And in terms of stats, you want to go with magic resistance slot 4, that's mandatory. And for slot 5, if you can pull it off, go for physical pierce main stat. And you should aim for 99% in both and still have some physical resistance. This is a set that I put together today and I didn't have yesterday for the live stream. And I'm quite happy about it because I managed to get to 102% in both and 75% physical pierce, plus the 30% from the Allocasia set, plus the 40% from the special move last hit. That's quite a big last hit. Well, okay, that just for the last hit of the ulti, but just in general, 100% physical pierce is quite a nice amount. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the ignition weapons. If you cannot, again, get to 100% physical resistance, going resistance main stat has the priority. Then for Revolution, I will just say the most important nodes. I will first talk about the subnodes and then we can look at Revolution 4 and Revolution 5. So evasion, again, only needed because we're running Alocasia, so you might put some points in there if you really have low evasion, but I don't think you will need it. Effect resistance, always nice, though he has status effect immunity. Effect resistance does help against debuffs, so you still want effect resistance anyway. HP recovery per second, that's something you can go for. He already has lifesteal. He is not supposed to take damage in general, so I wouldn't bother. But you can drop like 5 points in it, will be enough. Attack percentage, most important node. So you definitely want at least orange 4, so that you get the HP percentage from orange 4, from the limit break. But you also get this attack node that will open up more compositions for him. So extremely important. Well, we're not looking at the main stat for now. Crit hit resistance, pretty much worthless unless you want to go for, like you want to use him for PvP, or more like you want to compete in PvP, then all these kind of stats become quite important. Defense is good so that you can try to go below, like helps reducing and mitigating damage for your passive proc, so that's a good stat to have as well. Recovery received, I wouldn't bother. Special move resistance, not important unless again you want to compete in PvP. And max cooldown reduction is really important. You have a lot of benefits from casting active skills, so you do want to do that. And those are more or less the important ones. Attack, cooldown reduction, defense for a bit more survivability, and effect resistance. The other ones, more up to you. Then we have Revolution 4. Increases special move pierce by 15% for each Essence of Nothingness possessed. We have a max of 5 stacks, which means up to 75% special move pierce. And this multiplier is on top of the damage dealt. So if your special move dealt 1 million damage, after this is going to be 1,750,000. So it's a multiplier on top. It's not additive with physical pierce. It's just multiplying the final damage. So it's a multiplicative buff, which is huge. Obviously, it's additive with the one provided by Garam. So if you're running Garam, you're like not getting a bit less, but they're additive. They're not multiplicative. That's basically it. Then we have Mastery of Nothingness. Decreases each of KALLAVAN's active skill cooldowns by 1 second at the start of the battle. So it's like reducing the max cooldown of the skill. I don't know how impactful that is because I don't know the starting cooldown of the skills. But looking how also the passive had a similar effect, I'm guessing it is around 15 seconds. I wouldn't expect them to be 20 because if it's 20, like this one is taking it from 20 to 19, it won't matter. Like it's really almost irrelevant. So yeah, I believe it's a short cooldown, and this 1 second should kind of be relevant. But probably from my point of view, max cooldown reduction is more important. But to get there, you still have to get Revolution 5. So yeah, not too excited about this one, but definitely level 4 is massive. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the Revolution. I don't think there is much to show, but maybe I can also just share one of the latest fights. Let me see. Here I tried not to run Anniversary Iwa, and also, yeah, just try to limit myself as much as possible. Unfortunately, it was like, well, he is 3 red, so it's not like I could really do much. But I just tried with a random low Zell to buff his attack, and Endorsi doesn't do anything, just a free spot there. Albelda works extremely well with him, so that's a bit of cheating, but just to provide him more stats, since it's just 3 red, I wanted to give him a bit more attack and defense. Definitely Albelda works great with him. Garam also works great with him, buffing his special move damage. and that's pretty much it. There wasn't much buffing, but this guy could actually deal a shit ton of damage, and we can have a look at the fight. Here I couldn't run Mamanak because she would have linked with Garam, which is not a bad thing, but still wouldn't have worked that well. And yeah, we can see it's not going to be attacked that much because we also have Endorsey, but it's not taking much damage at all. And then it just bursting them down. The damage deals is really nice. Now we have to keep in mind here it was boosted by Albilda quite a lot. So yeah. Let me check if I have another fight without Albilda. I don't think so. I think I just autoplayed there. Maybe here. No, there's still Albilda, and here I was also using Anniversary Iwa. But as you can see, like the damage he receives is really low, even though he's in the front line. He's not receiving much damage at all. Yeah, I don't think there is going to be a better fight to showcase. Okay, like here it took 0 damage. Like it's possible for KALLAVAN to be in the front line and come out of the fight without taking a single damage, thanks to his passive, which is really good. I won't say this guy is bad. This guy with investment is absolutely strong. It's just, like in these fights, he's using teammates you would normally use for like someone else. You wouldn't really want to waste your Garam on a KALLAVAN. You don't really want to waste your build on a KALLAVAN. So I don't know, like it's kind of a way to showcase those supports more than showcasing KALLAVAN. It definitely has potential. A full investment, it can work fine even with least invested or less supports. Maybe we could even say, I don't know, we could even remove Albilda probably at that point, but I still don't have him invested enough to test it out. I will let you know. As a first impression, his damage is there. It's not going to be a bad unit. It's just too selfish to be a tank. So from my point of view, I wouldn't invest in him. If you are saving up your resources, keep on saving. I don't think this guy deserves them. But if you have a lot of them, you are a spender, you are a whale, well, obviously you don't need me. Like, you need me to tell you to Rainbow 5 this unit. You will definitely do it anyway, and it won't disappoint. But it's not like groundbreaking or anything. So yeah, that's kind of my first impression. Let me know in the comments what you think about him, if you agree or not. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.